Spartacus was a gladiator and slave who became a leader of the Roman slave revolt known as the Third Servile War. This rebellion, which lasted from 73 to 71 BCE, saw Spartacus lead a group of slaves and gladiators against the Roman Republic, achieving some remarkable victories before ultimately being defeated. Born in Thrace, a region that is now part of modern-day Bulgaria, Spartacus was captured by the Roman army and sold into slavery. He was trained as a gladiator and fought in the arenas of Rome, where he gained a reputation as a skilled and fearless warrior. Along with other gladiators, he staged an escape in 73 BCE, seizing weapons and fleeing into the countryside. Spartacus and his followers were pursued by Roman soldiers, but they managed to defeat several Roman armies in battles that were marked by cunning tactics and fierce fighting. The rebels even managed to establish a base on Mount Vesuvius, from where they launched raids on Roman towns and cities. Despite their victories, however, the rebels faced internal divisions and a lack of resources that made their situation increasingly difficult. Spartacus was eventually killed in battle, and the rebellion was crushed by the Roman Republic. Despite its ultimate failure, the Third Servile War was an important event in Roman history, and Spartacus himself has become a symbol of resistance against oppression. His story has inspired numerous works of literature, art, and film, and his legacy continues to be celebrated to this day. One of the reasons why Spartacus has become such an enduring figure is the way in which he challenged the Roman Republic, which was known for its harsh treatment of slaves and gladiators. By taking up arms against their tyrants, Spartacus and his followers showed that even the most powerless and marginalized people could resist tyranny and fight for their freedom. Spartacus was also a complex and multidimensional character, whose motivations and actions are still debated by historians today. Some perceive him as a hero and a champion of the oppressed, while others understand him as a violent and opportunistic rebel who caused needless suffering and destruction. One of the most fascinating aspects of Spartacus' story is the way in which he managed to inspire and unite a disparate group of slaves and gladiators, many of whom came from different backgrounds and spoke different languages. Despite their differences, the rebels were united by a common desire for freedom, and Spartacus' leadership played a key role in their success. In particular, Spartacus was known for his tactical skill and his ability to adapt to changing circumstances. He was capable to exploit the weaknesses of his opponents and use terrain to his advantage, which allowed his small band of rebels to defeat much larger Roman armies. At the same time, Spartacus was also a master of propaganda, using speeches and public displays of strength to rally his followers and intimidate his enemies. He was able to inspire loyalty and devotion among his followers, even in the face of daunting odds. Despite his military prowess, however, Spartacus was ultimately unable to overcome the internal divisions and logistical challenges that plagued his rebellion. He was betrayed by some of his own followers, who turned against him in exchange for leniency from the Roman authorities, and he was incapable of securing the resources he needed to sustain his campaign. As a result, the Third Servile War ultimately ended in defeat for Spartacus and his supporters. However, his legacy has lived on, and his story has continued to inspire generations of people around the world who have struggled against oppression and injustice. In particular, Spartacus has become a powerful symbol for movements of resistance and liberation, from the abolitionist movement in the 19th century to the civil rights struggles of the 20th century. His story has been retold in countless books, plays, films, and TV shows, including the popular series Spartacus, Blood and Sand, which aired on Starz from 2010 to 2013. The enduring appeal of Spartacus' story is due in large part to its universal themes of freedom, justice, and resistance. At its core, his rebellion was a struggle for the basic human rights that were denied to him and his fellow slaves. By standing up in opposition to the Roman Republic, Spartacus was asserting his own dignity and humanity, and demanding that his oppressors recognize his right to exist as a free person. Moreover, Spartacus' story has particular resonance in our own time, when many people around the world continue to face oppression and exploitation. Whether it is the ongoing struggles for racial justice in the United States, the fight for democracy and human rights in Hong Kong, or the global movement against climate change, the example of Spartacus reminds us that ordinary people can make a difference, even in the face of devastating odds. In this sense, the story of Spartacus is not just a tale of ancient history, but a living legacy that continues to inspire and challenge us today. Whether we are struggling against systemic injustice, fighting for human rights, or simply trying to live our lives with dignity and purpose, the example of Spartacus reminds us that we are not alone and that we can make a difference. Spartacus was a gladiator and slave who became a leader of the Roman slave revolt known as the Third Servile War. His rebellion was a struggle for freedom and justice against a system that denied basic human rights to millions of people. While the rebellion ultimately failed, Spartacus' story has become a symbol of resistance against oppression and an inspiration to generations of people who have struggled against tyranny and injustice. Through his leadership, tactical skill, and ability to inspire loyalty, Spartacus showed that even the most powerless and marginalized people can resist oppression and compete for their freedom. His legacy continues to inspire and challenge us today, reminding us that we can make a difference, even in the face of daunting odds. Thank you for watching. For more informative videos, please subscribe to my channel Knowledge Hub.